Phases of the cell cycle. There are about 6 phases of the cell cycle, and we're going to go through them and show what they look like and also give a short description. So the first phase of the cell cycle is interphase. And this is the longest phase where the cell will spend most of its life. And it can be divided into 3 parts. That's G1, or gap 1, where cell just grows. There's the S phase, or synthesis, where we have our DNA is replicated. And then we have G2, or gap 2, and that's where cell prepares to divide. So that can be producing the proper microtubules or centrioles and stuff like that. So interphase is just going to look like our normal cell. We're just going to draw our nucleus in all of these because the organelles don't really play a role. So in our nucleus we have our DNA just kind of loose in our nucleolus. Now we're going to go to prophase. Prophase is where our chromatin, which is uncondensed DNA, it'll condense into chromosomes. We're also going to have the nucleolus dissolve or disappear, essentially. The nuclear membrane dissolves. And we have our centromeres. Connect to the spindle fibers. In this phase, we're going to show our nuclear membranes kind of dissolving. We don't have a nucleolus anymore. And instead of having a bunch of chromatin, we have our chromosomes, which should be kind of paired up because they were replicated and are tied in the center. We also have our spindle fibers, as we said, that kind of line up. So we have our centriole attached to our centromeres by means of spindle fibers. Okay, now we have metaphase. Metaphase is where our chromosomes are going to align at the metaphase plate along the center of the cell. And they align due to opposite pole of centrosomes. Okay. So I'm going to show our metaphase plate here just along the middle of the cell, which is really more of a disc if you think about it, since we have a sphere here. And you can see we have our DNAs replicated and they're kind of joined together. Now in anaphase, the proteins binding sister chromatids, which is what they're called as a group. Will break and now we call them daughter chromosomes. Go to opposite ends of the cell. So it's kind of confusing with the vocabulary, I'll admit. So up here, this is called a daughter chromosomes, or daughter, excuse me, not daughter. This is sister. So sister chromatids here. And down here we're going to have our daughter chromosomes when they're just being pulled to the opposite sides by themselves. Now in telophase, we're essentially undoing prophase. The spindle fibers disappear. Nucleolus reappears. Our nuclear membrane is formed. And our chromosomes go back to being chromatin. However, these are all still within the same one cell though, really. Because the cells have yet to divide, other than just the fact that the nucleases are divided. Okay. Now we have cytokinesis, which sometimes isn't considered a phase of the cell cycle. However, cytokinesis is when the cell pinches apart, and that's by means of a contractile ring. That tightens where the metaphase plate was. So this is our phases of the cell cycle. And yep. And essentially we've more or less just outlined mitosis here. Mitosis would be steps 2 through 5. So prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase.